Okay.
Yeah. Y'all gonna make it look like the class is empty and I'm talking to nobody. But anyway, we're glad that you're here. And what I don't want this to turn into is make it sound like it's my opinion or Coach Moy's opinion that coaches are so much better than teachers. I think it was Bruce Arians, who is the head football coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I saw a quote from him on Twitter, and I thought it was really cool. He said, I don't want coaches that yell a lot, all right? That's not the kind of coaches that I look for. Usually, whenever you see a coach that's just yelling at players, usually he's not saying anything at all. And players just start to tune him out, and they don't really listen to him anymore. What I want in a good coach is a good teacher. The best coaches are the best teachers, because if you can't teach your players what they're supposed to do and what their assignments are and all that comes with playing their sport, then you're pretty useless as a coach. And so I think what helps a coach be the best coach is that they're a really, really good teacher. And everybody in here in some form or fashion, whether you're a para or a PE teacher or whatever else in between, we all have kids in our class, and we have to make an impact on them in some way and teach them. And hopefully teach them more than just your subject, and teach them more than just U.S. history and about the Cold War. Hopefully you're teaching them how to be a better human being. And that's why we all do what we do, hopefully. I can just do it right here. This is not a quote from me. This is a quote from Billy Graham. If you don't know Billy Graham, he is a famous pastor. He's not with us anymore. But anyway, he said, a coach will impact more young people in a year than the average person does in a lifetime. And I think that's kind of synonymous also with just being a teacher. You're going to have more kids come in and out of your class in one single year and have more of an impact on them than anybody else in the world. This job is really, really unique, and that's why that I hope that we do what we do. All right, that's why I hope that you're decided to go into the career field that you're in, and that's why I decided to. Usually, I didn't. My dad, I don't know if you know him. It's Coach Willingham Sr. back there. All right, because I'm junior, I guess.
You're Little Willie.
Yeah, Little Willie, Big Willie. And that was on my Pee Wee jersey growing up too. I had Lil apostrophe Willie. Anyway, so the reason I got into coaching, I didn't want to be a coach like him, no offense, but it seemed like everybody in my family was a teacher or involved in education in some capacity. I wanted to go into the ministry. I wanted to go and be a youth minister, or go be a pastor, or do something like that, something that I felt like I could impact kids in. That was going to be my plan. But before I went into seminary is the kind of like the grad school that you have to go into before you become a preacher. So before I ever went into seminary, I had to get a degree in something. And so P. Willie back there was really, really encouraging of just chase after get an education degree in case you ever need a plan B. And so I did that. And I did my student teaching at Temple High School. And man, I just fell in love with the classroom. I fell in love with kids, and I realized that if you were a pastor or if you were a youth minister, you might get your kids 2 days a week. If you're lucky, probably just 1 day a week on Sunday if you can get them to show up. But if you're a teacher, if you're a coach, you get kids in your classroom 5 days a week. And if you're a coach, you can get them on Saturday too, all right? And so you have an opportunity to have a really, really big impact on kids. And so I was like, that's my ministry field right there, is right there in the classroom and out there on the football field. And so I switched careers and done that, and I haven't looked back since. I love what I do because of the opportunity that we have to impact kids. This is a video just kind of explaining the impact that coaches have. And as they're saying this, really and truly, a coach is synonymous with a teacher. You could substitute the word coach in this video for a teacher, and this is the impact that I hope we have as a campus. You can go back. I think you got to push play.
Did everybody hear it?
There it is from Billy Graham again. Pause it. Let's turn it up. Y'all can't hear that, can y'all? I didn't want my jock jam too loud, so.
It really is not sports related, it's about life.
They would always come in and talk to me about life issues and everything. They knew where I was going. The current things your friends or people running with you or your teammates can't see that a coach sees.
I feel like I was called to coach. I feel that's the plan God had for me.
I was put into coaching. God led me to be a coach to give others hope.
When you can impact coaches who are going to see hundreds of athletes over their career, it just really spreads the impact that you can have.
And that gets me fired up. Seeing somebody out there doing what they love, and then you want to follow them.
They are our leaders, and through them, we learn how to lead others through them.
And you can see it right into their hearts. Like they need this thing called Jesus, this only hope in this world.
They play the role as parents, they play the role as pastors, they play the role as mentors.
But who coaches the coaches? Who inspires the coaches?
They're going to gain more strategy, more structure, more intentionality to the benefit of the coach and their family, and ultimately to their team.
Getting to them as a total person, witnessing to them, and helping them develop as spiritual men and women as well.
He's on the front lines, and we're going to be right there on the front lines with him.
It has changed my teams dramatically. It's changed my coaching staff dramatically. It's changed the community.
How they conduct themselves and they carry themselves is such a representative of the community people notice.
A life that is searching for significance, not just success.
Yeah, we don't be responsible for those that we coach.
I think as believers, we don't realize the power of our words.
They need it. It's like, what's stopping them?
Not just a coach who calls himself a Christian, but a Christian coach. Not a coach who believes that they're coaching in order that they might become a legend, but that they might leave a legacy. And that legacy is found and woven into the fabric of their players and the community that they serve.
We may not win another football game. And you know what? I don't care. Because the 50 or 60 we got, they gonna live forever.
Man, I love that. I love the potential of being able to impact a kid's life in that way, the way a coach does and the way a teacher does. So, before you ever set foot on a field with a kid, or you've got to have, this is what from Coach Moy, you've got to have their ear. What is their ear? You've got to have their effort, their attitude, and respect. Now, that sounds pretty easy, especially for a coach, because when you're a coach, you get to hang something over their head. They want to play your sport. They want to play football or basketball or volleyball or softball or whatever it is. And so they kind of have to listen to you, all right, because if they don't, they know they'll never get on the field. They'll never get on the court. They'll never be able to play. But as a teacher, it's really hard to hang grades over their head, because some of them, frankly, they don't give a crap. All right, and so you may not really get their best effort. You may not get their best attitude. You may not get their respect just from saying that that you can give them a bad grade, or you're not going to learn this, or you won't be able to use this in the grade you're going to go into next. And so before you ever have their ear, their effort, their attitude, and their respect, somebody finish this sentence for me. All right, kids. How's it go? Kids don't care what you know until they. Man, that's so cliche, all right? Kids don't care about how much you know as a teacher. Kids don't care how much you know as a coach until they know how much you care. And I know that's really, really cliche, but that's really, really true.
The one thing I will tell you about effort, attitude, respect, and all those things, it's not about punishment, it's about reward. You really want to get something out of a kid, you want those three things out of a kid, don't tell them how you're going to punish them with a bad grade. Tell them what the reward is that is going to be. And that's bringing out that right attitude in the kid. You're showing them this is where it's going to take you, not the negative. Bring in the positive.
My third year of teaching was at Seguin High School in Seguin, Texas. I was teaching 9th grade world geography, and I was still young and kind of dumb and didn't really know what I was doing. But it was in the beginning of school, and we just had someone come talk to our school and get us pumped up to teach for the year. You know how those public speakers are. And we had the guy that was always jumping up on desks. He has his own school with a slide in it. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Ron, I think is his name. Anyway, so we had that guy come and talk to us as a school district, right? And so I'm really pumped up that year to teach kids and get them in my class. And so I'm in world geography class, and I'm doing a group activity, and there's one kid that won't go in the group that I assigned him in. So, I'm standing up on the desk like he told us to do. So I'm up on there, and I'm talking, and I'm energetic. I'm doing all these things, and Stephen Flores is right there. And I said, hey, Stephen, you need to get in your group. You need to go. And he looks at me, and it was my first of my career. All right, I'll probably have others. I haven't had any since. I hope you haven't had one of these. All right, that was my first career. F you. All right, I didn't even know the kid hardly yet. We just kind of started school, and he just looked me dead in my eyes and cussed at me, F you. And I was kind of taken back. Okay, get out. But I hope has anybody ever had that happen to them? Have you ever? I hope you don't. Maybe you're a better teacher than I am. Okay, but that was my first career. F you. And the reason why Stephen Flores did that to me is because I didn't have a relationship with him. Okay, I didn't know who he was. He was even a football player. All right, but I didn't have a clue who that kid was. I didn't have a clue where he was coming from. I don't have a clue what his family background is or what was happening to him before he got into school that day. And so I'm just a guy that's kind of yelling at him. And so he said, F you. All right. And not that that's right or anything like that. And since then, because he played football, we established a good relationship. And I can call Stephen Flores up today, and the kid would run through a wall for me. But that wouldn't happen until I had built a relationship with the kid. All right. You have to develop a relationship with your players if you want to coach them hard, especially. All right. If you want to hold them accountable, if you want their effort, you want their attitude, you want their respect, you better have a relationship with them first. Because if you don't do that, then you're not going to be able to coach them hard. You're not going to be able to teach them very hard. And so as a coach, it's pretty easy. We have these prerequisites where we get to know kids before they are ever our player, before they set foot on the field, before they're ever in the locker room. We know who they are. All right, we meet them in youth camps. We see them in summer workouts. We go to their junior high games and see them play there. All right, and so we know who the kids are. There's kids that were in summer pride or summer reload this summer working out with us that are in 5th and 6th grade. I know their name, and I'm excited for them to come to Ennis High School. I'm waiting on them. All right, and they're going to know me, and they're going to be coached by me and some of the other staffs there because we made them excited to be there. We've already started building a relationship. And they're not even a player in high school yet, okay? And so that's easy as a coach, but what would that look like if we did that as teachers as well? Before they're ever your students, before they are ever your player, how could you build a relationship with them? The relationship deepens when they officially become our players. Once they finally do step in the locker room, now that relationship gets even deeper. And we really start to find out who the kids are and where they're coming from. And there's that saying, these kids would run through a wall for us. And the reason why is not because they love football so much, but they love us so much as coaches if we're doing what we're supposed to do. If that's not your goal, if you're in the classroom just to teach, all right, because you love biology so much, and that's why you became a teacher, do us all a favor. Get out of the profession. Don't do it. Go to college and do research or be a professor at some university. But if you're in a classroom in a public school and you're not developing a relationship with kids, if you're a paraprofessional and you're not building a relationship with a kid, if you're a PE teacher and you're not building a relationship with a kid, get out. This isn't for you. All right. The only reason we are here is to touch the lives of kids. And so if that's not for you, do us all a favor and find another job. All right. Because kids don't want you, teachers aren't going to want to teach with you, and especially the parents of the teachers are going to have anything to do with you. I don't want someone teaching my kid that doesn't give a flip about them. They just love math so much. All right, I don't care about how much math you know. Are you going to take care of my kid? Are you going to love them? That's what I want to know. And so
this does go twofold, guys, because believe it or not, your reputation precedes you. Your kids know who they're going to have the next school year. You know what kind of reputation are you developing? As football coaches, they're developing a reputation of that person that cares about them because they're going to see them when they don't have to. You know, what do kids think about you before they ever even stepped into your classroom on the first day of school? Have you ever asked? First day of school, go, hey guys, what kind of reputation do I have? What do you expect to have to do in this class? Ask them. You know. Your reputation precedes you, and that's not just something you can fix in 5 minutes and say, I want to be a new person. You know, the Ebenezer Scrooge effect of all of a sudden I want to love Christmas and everybody forgives me. That's not over and done with in 5 minutes. It takes time for that. It's a developing of an attitude of students are what means something to me, and I'm going to teach my students. All right.
So let's do this real quick, and you're already kind of in huddles. It says groups of 2 or 3, but just kind of in the stations that you're at. give you about 2 minutes, and I don't want to write it down on a post-it or do anything like that. But what I do want to know is the answers to 2 questions, all right? Question 1, what are 2 ways that you could develop a relationship with your students before they ever step foot in the classroom? All right, I'm asking this because I want you to share, but I'm also asking because I need ideas too. All right, because a good coach is always stealing from other coaches. Okay, nothing that we coaches knew and I created. I've stolen it from people that are better than I am. Right, and so question 1 is, what are 2 ways that you could develop a relationship with your students before they ever step foot in your class? The other thing I want to know is, what are 2 ways you could develop. Oh, never mind. That's the same question. All right. So I just want that one question. And when you're doing this, a lot of you weren't with Wade Bishop whenever he was talking to us about what he wants one of our goals to be. But he asked us to pick 1 student this year, 1 student, and have them be our 1 and have an impact on their life. You can just pick 1. All right. And so with that kind of 1 in mind, think about the answer to this question. Okay, but real quick, about 2 minutes, you and your group huddle up. What are 2 ways you can develop a relationship with your student before they step foot in your class? This one was different. It was once they are in your class. I'm about to tell them. That should be a rule. You should always have a whistle on you at all times. Good coach always has a whistle. All right. I wasn't wrong. I'm just an idiot and can't read. The second question was, and you don't have to answer it, once they are in your class, what do you do to deepen the relationship? But anyway, I want to hear from some groups over here in the back. Coach Willingham. Yeah.
I know all of y'all don't get this opportunity, but in high school, at the beginning of each semester, we get pass out schedule, and you can volunteer to do that. And I love passing out schedule because I get to learn kids, see what other teachers they have, and give them a little insight into that teacher. And passing out schedules twice a year, fun deal.
In the high school, if you teach juniors and seniors, go pass out freshmen and sophomores.
Yeah.
And if you teach freshmen and sophomores, go pass out juniors and seniors and check on them. You know, you talk about making a lasting bond. That's
about over here in this group, what y'all got?
Well, I teach art at the junior high, so when the 6th grade comes through, they always come through my room because I don't call the cafeteria. I'm really loud and obnoxious to begin with.
Yeah.
So, I know, it's so sad. So they always come through my room and I draw them a really cool picture that has EJHS and my name on it. And it's got Spider-Man on it and all that, and the color, and I hand that out.
That's cool. So they can see that. You're like, man, I want to be in that teacher's
They see
class.
all these kids doing fun stuff.
Good. Good. What about over here? What y'all got?
One big thing we talk about would just being present in the community, which you kind of touched on a while ago.
Yeah.
Even if they don't know you per se as a person, you know, you're an HEB, they're like, oh, they teach at my school, you know, and then maybe you'll have them in your class.
Yeah, if you're that crazy person at church that gets involved in vacation Bible school or something,
Right.
then they know who you are and they see you on campus. Like, oh, you here?
Right.
I want to be in your class.
We've done award ceremonies sometime. You know, go to a band concert. You know, go watch the drama club act out something. You know, you never know where kids will see you, and you may not know they saw you, but they will see you. They know who's there, and they'll go, that person cares about something. They will start trying to figure you out. Why did you show up? And you got them right then. That's all they're trying to figure out. Why did you show up? You have them. You have a hook in them.
That's good. And we can go on because we're kind of, I'm sure everybody's in this class because they knew as coach teaching it, we might get out of here 20 minutes early. But trying to go to lunch. So we'll move on. But one of the things I'd encourage you to do just in your classroom is before you start teaching any kind of content, before you get involved in your warm-up or your bell ringer or whatever it is, just take a second to ask them how their day is. And don't talk at them, talk to them individually. And if no one's raising their hand, then pick them out. Like, why are you so tired today? What time did you go to bed last night? That's one of my favorites. Oh, I was on Snapchat. Who are you Snapchatting? Then I'm going to learn who their girlfriend is or their boyfriend is or what they're doing. Or I was watching Netflix till 3 in the morning. Everybody does that, it seems like. I'm like, my God, what are you watching? I need some new series, you know? And so, or I was at work. Oh, where do you work? All right, one of my favorite questions is if they work at a pizza place or something, and I'm like, okay, Julio, if I go to Pizza Hut and I ask for the Julio special, what's going to be on it? Like, if you get to make your own pizza, what are you making before you go home? And so, you know, they'll tell me whatever kind of crazy creations they make in the kitchen. And then it's just a way to individually talk to your kids before you talk to them about content. Ask them about their lives and then ask them more questions and more questions. And that's once they're in your classroom, then we're starting to deepen the relationship a little bit and have a social bond. Anyway. All right. What you got?
So I always say, put your students in the best position for success. Coaching football, this is pretty critical because there's 11 positions on offense, 11 positions on defense, and there's actually 33 positions on special teams by the time you talk about a punt team, kickoff return team. You think about these things, there's a lot of different positions out there, you know? Well, guess what? We start identifying where they can be successful at early on. You know, is this kid an offensive lineman? Is this kid a tight end? Is this kid a running back? Quarterbacks, defensive linemen, linebackers. You're always trying to identify these things. Well, guess what? We need to identify the kids in our classroom the same way so that they have the best success, you know? And it's all different types of things. Identifying just special education, 504, what type of modifications do they really need? We know what's on the document. We know what's supplied by law, right? And what we have to obey by law. But what does it really look like for them to be a success? Let's identify those things about these kids. Let's put them in a position to be successful, because if I took one of those offensive linemen, and I was an offensive line coach for 15 years, if I took my offensive linemen and lobbed them up out there with the wide receivers and sent them out on pass routes to catch balls, how successful would they have been? Probably not very successful. And you want to know why? Because they're probably not fast. They probably can't catch well. They probably can't get open, right? So if I did that to them, did I put them in a chance to be successful? Now, did they maybe want to be out there or think they belonged out there? Yes, of course they may think that, because everybody wants to be in a position where you can get a glory, get some touchdown, all those things. But in reality is, they were made for this position. And we have to identify that with our students in a classroom. And we have to put them in small groups that are going to give them the chance for their best success. We have to put them with on-level reading that gives them a chance for success. We can't give them advanced college reading if they're reading at the level of a 6th grader. We have to give them those tools and those qualities that they need for success. So when we start thinking about these things, and we start putting our kids in a position to be successful in our classroom, what are our kids going to start doing when they start having success? How is that going to get them to buy into our relationship? Are they going to believe in us more? Yes. People believe in the people that they think will lead them to success. You know, people follow people for 2 reasons. And the main reasons are people will follow people out of fear. But if they're only following you around because they're scared of you, how effective is that really? But they will also follow people who they think will lead them to success. And those people they think will lead them to success, not only will they do whatever that person asks them to do, but they will also start to model that person. and try to become like that person. And that's where coaches have a big effect on their athletes. And that's why as a teacher, when you start buying that and you're getting students to be successful, just because you put them in a position for success, where they had a chance at it, they will start buying into you, they will start modeling you, and that will make your classroom easier to manage in the end.
All right. So that's kind of a lot with the touchy-feely part of teaching and coaching. Let's talk about how you actually should be teaching your classes. Have a scouting report. Every weekend as a football staff on Saturday, we come in and we watch film of the upcoming opponent. And whenever we watch that film, we're trying to get a feel for what their tendencies are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, so that eventually we can create a game plan about how to best attack that opponent. All right? And then the first thing that happens Monday morning when the kids come in, they lift weights, and we give them the game plan. It's not a secret. All right? We don't want them to be in the dark and just get out there and run these plays, but because I said so, by God. All right? We want them to know why we're doing what we're doing, what the game plan for success is. All right? As a teacher, you don't really have film to watch, okay? But you do have an opponent, all right? You've got an opponent every week or every unit. You got an opponent at the end of the year, and that's that gosh dang STAR test if you're a STAR tested subject, all right? But if you take any kind of quiz or any kind of test during the year, you got an opponent, all right? That's your opponent. So how do you get your scouting report on your opponent? 3 ways that I do it, and I lean real heavy towards teaching U.S. history because that's what I do. We're a STAR tested subject. And so for us, it's past STAR tests, okay? What have they done? What did they ask last year? What did they ask the year before that and the year before that? All right? And lead forward is one of the best things ever created on earth if you're a STAR tested subject. Because I can go on to lead forward and I can say, all right, I'm teaching Cold War. I need to know this, and this about the Cold War. What is the test asked about it? All right? And then I'm going to take those test questions and I'm going to show them to the kids. I'm not going to keep it a secret. Why? All right? That's stupid. I wouldn't, as a coach, never show film of the opponent and say, hey, this is what cover 2 looks like. And whenever you see that corner and he's playing you with outside leverage and he's trying to funnel you in, that's cover 2. We're going to try to hit him right here. I don't want to keep that a secret. I don't want to make it a tricking game where they get out there and it's nothing like what I told them it was going to be, and all of a sudden they're in cover 4. Like, what the heck, coach? You didn't prepare me for this. All right? I want them to know what they're going to see on the field. And when they're in my classroom, I want them to know what the test is going to ask them. Okay? And I think a lot of us try to surprise kids or trick them or keep them in the dark. That's stupid. That's real stupid. I would never do that to a football player. So what I do as a U.S. history teacher is I show my kids the questions. Hey, guys, here, I'll teach the lesson. This is what you need to know. All right, what has the test asked about this in the past? Let's look at it. And we'll answer the dang question, unless it's a STAR test from the previous year, because that's going to be on an actual test. So anyway, show them their opponent. Show them what they're going to see.
And like Coach Willingham just talked about, we may not start implementing a game plan until Monday, but some of that pre-scouting stuff, game film, start sharing it with your athlete as soon as you get it. Hey, you have this stuff, share it out with them even before you even cover it. Give them a chance to play with it, you know? Because I guarantee you, when you start sharing that game film as a football coach with them on a Saturday, and by the time you see them on Monday, they're saying, hey, this is what I saw, this is what I saw, this is what I saw. The same thing, throw that information out there, throw the release STAR questions out there. They're going to come back saying, this is what I think. Let them be proactive in engaging into the lesson before the lesson starts.
All right. Every practice, every scrimmage, every game that we play as a football team, it's filmed. All right. We film it so that we can correct it ourselves, and then we can correct it with the players. So after a game film session, players are given a grade, and the best performers are given awards for that game. We'll give them stickers if they had so many yards passing or rushing or big blocks or tackles or whatever for their stats. We'll give them player of the week or special teams player of the week and that kind of thing. All right. What resources can we use to help students correct mistakes? Kids mess up in class all the time. They get something wrong. We taught them on a subject over and over and over, and they still got it wrong on the test. You stupid, all right? And so we got to go back and see, all right, what is it that we were teaching wrong, or what did they not get? And then we got to go back and flip the script and reteach that thing. But how do we do that? How do we know what the kids are struggling with? All right, where our film as teachers is eduphoria. Well, as soon as they take a test, eduphoria, once you learn how to use it, it's pretty freaking awesome. Because I can go in eduphoria and see, dang, every single kid missed 12. Like there's 4 people that got number 12 right, and everybody else chose C. Why is that? We're going to go back as a class, and we're going to look at number 12, by God, all right? And we're going to see, hey, what was wrong with this question? Sometimes it was a stupid question, and I'll tell them that, all right? Or sometimes it was because we didn't teach it the right way, or sometimes it's because we didn't spend enough time on it. But whatever it is, we get to go back and we get to correct those mistakes. And we can do that in several different ways. We use warm-up questions every single day when they come into class, and that's how we correct a lot of misconceptions. Or you can do a top 10 most missed questions. All right, we just took Unit 7 test. These are the top 10 most missed questions. Let's look at them real quick. Okay, and just real fast correct those mistakes so that you can move on and kids can get that right in the future. Let's see.
Yeah. We should continue to let your students see the opponent. I mean, sharing that information, getting that information out there, letting players feel familiar with their opponent, Don't introduce something, expect them to master it in 10 minutes and be out the door, We spend a lot of time letting athletes see the opponent. You need to spend time in the classroom. Guess what? Flip classrooms, that's a way to allow your students to see what's happening in the classroom outside of the classroom. Make them want to engage in that so that they don't feel left behind. Because an athlete, guess what? If he doesn't watch that game film outside of practice with us, when he shows up on Monday, is he going to feel left behind because the rest of the kids did it? Yes. Same thing with your classroom. Develop that culture of wanting to just peek in there. If you flip your classroom, though, you cannot make it to something they do for hours on end because they don't want to do that. You need to make short, quick snippets that, hey, they'll engage in, they're able to see, and then they can get out of it. Because I promise you that's how athletes are doing it. They may watch game film for 20 or 30 minutes here, 20 or 30 minutes there. It's something they can get in and out of. Make it to where students can get in and out of it. Let students see our next objectives, activate their prior knowledge, and that's the biggest key. We don't give students enough time to activate prior knowledge. What do they really know about this? And see what kind of connections they can make on their own before we ever even talk about it. How are these things connected?
All right. So as a coach, we have a weekly practice routine. It's not a guessing game. The kids every single week know what we're going to do on Monday. They know what we're going to do on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Thursday, and then on Friday, obviously, they know that they're about to play the game, right? And so there's a kind of a quick look at what we do every week, but the whole point of that is they know what's coming. It's not a guessing game, and I think it's really good if a classroom looks like that as well. Now, we'll change some things up if we feel like a kid's starting to get bored with the same routine. There's things that we'll do within the schedule to change it up just to spice it up a little bit, but for the most part, the kids know the routine and they know the plan. I think the same thing should be true in your classroom. Here's what I do as a U.S. history teacher every week. All right, is Monday and Tuesday, those are work days. All right, those are days that we're gonna get our instruction. They might be teacher intensive lecture days or whatever, but we're gonna teach them what they need to know on Monday and Tuesday. Then Wednesday and Thursday, we call those polish days. All right, we're gonna polish what we already know. You're gonna take that information that you learned on Monday, Tuesday, and you're gonna use it in some kind of activity or whatever. And then on Friday, we'll do a quick review. And then we got a quiz. That's our game, all right? And I always do quizzes on Fridays, number one, because they have to be assessed on what they learned that week. But number two, Fridays for me are game days, and I don't really want to talk to the kids that day, all right? I was like, don't even look at me today. I don't want to hear from you.
Under this gameplay right here, you have 5 opportunities for a grade right there. Secondly, let's think about this. How are kids going to perform on Monday and Tuesday? Because this is the one thing I watched last year, my first time to really go spend a lot of time in different people's classrooms. Teachers would introduce a topic, 10, 15 minutes, give a formative assessment, and then start grilling the kids of why they hadn't already mastered the topic. I'm like, whoa. How can you expect somebody to master something when they just finally got the information? As we keep talking about that information, it's really just about communicating with the kids. Know how bad Monday's going to look. Monday's not going to look nearly as good as Friday's going to look, is it? Why is Friday going to look better? Because we've built ourselves up ready for that game plan. So just be aware, every step along the way, you should see signs of improvement. Do not expect step number 1 to be great.
So every week looks the same, and then within that week, obviously, we have a practice plan. This is what a typical practice plan looks like. I picked one from Corsicana because we beat them last year. But this is what a Monday practice plan would look like. And so every single period is a 5-minute period. And so period 1's 5 minutes, period 2's 5 minutes, and it's broken down that way so that every single 5-minute segment, each position, each player, each coach knows exactly where they're supposed to be and knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing. That's a practice plan. And whenever you look at it broken down into large segments, you're an individual for the I know you can't see this, but you're an individual drills for a little while. Then you get together with a group and you're practicing for a little while. Then you get together as a team and you practice. And so what that looks like is in individual, I'm a receivers coach, and so we'll practice as receivers what we're about to do in the group. All right, and we'll work on the fundamentals of it. I'll teach them how to do it, okay? And now individual's over. Now we're going to come over here with the quarterbacks in group, and now they're going to throw us a ball while we do what we just learned, all right? And with the quarterbacks, then we're going to get together with the defense. Now we're going to do it against some actual people in front of us now. And we're going to do the same things again, all right? And then finally at the end, we're doing team, all 11 players, and we're rolling. We're doing, we're driving the field and putting the whole thing together.
Think about that with your special needs students. Hey, give them a chance. If they have a modification or some type of adjustment to access to the curriculum, give them a chance to get familiar with it first before you make them perform with their classmates in a group. You know, that's one of the hardest things you can do is to put a student who's already struggling into a group and expect them to perform in front of others. You know, give them a chance to at least kind of get familiar with it first. We're so quick to go to group work. Don't forget, all students need a bit to, hey, I kind of know what I'm talking about. Now I can go talk about it with others.
And so what does that look like in the classroom? Your individual time as a coach, that's your time to teach what the kids are supposed to know that day. All right. Group is where you practice that skill that you learned in individual time. So you know what you're supposed to know. Now let's practice how to do it. And then team is when you're putting everything together in a game-like situation and answering the questions that you're supposed to answer. And here's my pet peeve as a coach, and I've coached with a lot of coaches that do this. Their drills don't match what they're supposed to learn, and what they're supposed to learn is supposed to match. In other words, the drills should match the plays, and the plays should be what they're going to do in the game. And so we've got a lot of coaches that I've been with before, not a lot, I shouldn't say that, but bad coaches that I've been with before. In their individual time, they're doing all these crazy footwork drills and they're doing a lot of stupid stuff, and they'll film it and they'll put it on Twitter and it'll look really cool on social media. But then we'll get together in group and we'll call that play, and he goes, whoa, my guys haven't learned that yet. Well, what have you been doing the whole time? Well, we were doing quick foot ladders and stuff like that, and it looked really cool, but you didn't learn a dang thing, all right? So what you do in your individual drills should be what they're going to do in the actual offensive play. And the actual offensive play, that's going to make up the game. And so what does that look for us? Look like as us for teachers? Cut out the BS. Quit telling them stuff they don't need to know. All right, a lot of teachers, they really like certain subjects, and so they're going to spend a whole day on making sock puppets and doing some kind of puppet show over one little teak, and it's like, what are you doing? All right, and they'll tell me, oh yeah, we made these sock puppets and we spent the whole time talking about George Washington was the first president of the United States, and then my PowerPoint might have been how George Washington was president, and then we went over Washington Farewell Address and how that, we'll covered a much bigger subject and much more content so that they're ready for the quiz that they're going to take the next day. Oh, we just did the sock puppets and that was it. Well, you didn't prepare your kids for success. You spent a whole lot of time on BS instead of things that they actually need to know. All right? And I think if we cut out the BS and we only teach them, and that's the kind of the sad part of education. They're filming me right now, and Coach Moy's probably going to get mad at me, and that's okay. But history itself could be a really fun subject. We could explore a lot of really cool things and concepts and stuff like that. But if I spend too much time on some of those fun, cool things, they're not going to be ready for the STAR test. I don't know if you've ever seen the U.S. history TEKS, and they've even shortened it down, but it's ridiculous how much they want us to teach these kids. It's stupid. It's stupid how much they want our kids to learn in a few months and then take the dang test, okay? But They still have to. I can call it stupid as much as I want. I can be mad about it as much as I want. The fact is, the kids still need to know that stuff at the end of the year. And so I've got to fly, and I've got to get these kids on a roll. I don't have time to spend an entire day on one little bitty tee. Don't have time to do it. Can't do it. Won't do it. All right? I'm going to tell them what they need to freaking know. Practice it. Let's take the quiz and let's move on. All right? Get corrections and then let's move on. So that's kind of the sad part about education. We can't take things where we really want to take it because we've got this stupid test at the end. But in order to make your kids successful, you got to do it. Okay? So cut out the BS is what I'm trying to tell you. Don't spend too much time on one thing. Make your drills match the plays, and the plays match the game. In other words, teach the kids what they need to freaking know. Make sure that they know it so that whenever the quiz time comes, they get the question right, and you get to move on. And just to throw some stats out there, I was 41% commended in my U.S. History STAR test.
Masters.
Anyway, and it's because we cut out a bunch of the BS, to be honest with you. All right? All right.
I say coach athletes after every rep, you know? And this is the first thing I was ever taught as a football coach. And it's probably the simplest thing to ever do. But how many times do you guys have students turn in papers and you wait 2 to 3 days to get them back to them? Because how many of us like grading papers? I never did. That was one of the things I hate. I hated getting my hair cut when I had hair. I hate filling my car up with gas. And I hate grading papers. Those things just seem to take forever for me. But think about this. As a football coach, I was told every time we snap a ball, give your athletes feedback about how they did immediately. So if we were in team, snap the ball, ran the play. I coached offensive linemen. I'm going to talk to all 5 of them of how they did on that snap of that ball right then and there before they get in the huddle and have the next play called. That's how rapidly those things went, you know? Actually, it helped me great as a coach because by the time game time rolled around, I knew exactly what I was looking for, when and where, wasn't I? Because I had practiced how to coach those guys all week long. So I was prepared to coach a game. Worked hand in hand with those kids, though. They got immediate feedback, so when we did it again, did they now know, hey, this is what I need to fix now, not 2 to 3 days later? How effective would it have been if I said, okay, guys, I'll get back to you on Thursday with that, and then we're on Monday? Not very effective, would it? Immediate feedback after every step. So the less time you can allow with giving feedback to your students on how they did, the more successful those students will be. So right here, I give you a drill. And this is LSU right here. And this is a simple defensive line drill. But we're going to watch this. I'm going to kind of show you what he's doing. But we're going to start with one drill. I want you to watch how he's facilitating. He's not doing it for him, is he? He's going to facilitate the drill. He's going to transition the drill. And he's going to give them immediate feedback. We got the whole video right here. So right here you're watching him. He's giving them snap the ball. He's giving them motion. He's making them react to numerous stimuli right then and there. Can y'all hear the feedback? So he's got sound, he's got motion. Last one, watch this. He's letting them know we're transitioning. Everybody's already transitioning. Now watch, he's modeling. Hey, we all jog to the next drill. He's modeling, he's doing it with them. He's getting them lined up, and we're going to the next drill. That's how efficient a football practice is ran. We should bring that efficiency into the classroom, and we transition. Don't allow kids to get distracted in between. Look how quick they went from one drill to the next and actually had movement involved. Now listen to him right here. He's going to start giving them detailed information. Hand placements, roll your hips, hand placements. Coaching them up every rep. See? Watch that feedback, immediate feedback, everything they're doing.
Good job with your head there. Extend, extend. Boy, nice. Good. Good job. Next up, let's go. Quick, now.
On this next one or two, he's going to have to kind of really reteach somebody.
Good job. Here we go, man. Hold him right there. Good. Yeah.
See? A bigger correction. Hey, you did this really wrong. Fix it.
Good job right there. Keep your hands in tight right here. There. Nice job.
See, I spent a little more time on that one, but not that much more time.
Good work, guys. Up. Roll them hips. Good. Down. Okay, hold it.
Now watch, the last kid, the transition. They understand how to do the drill, don't they? When somebody else needs to hold his feet, nobody's looking around going, what do we do next? Teach your kids how to do what you're asking them to do. That's how coaches teach, right then and there. How many reps did those athletes just get at practicing what they need to practice? You know, and how many different kids got to participate, right? How many times do we do something in a classroom and not every kid gets to do it? You know, if it's long and drawn out, maybe we need to think of a way to where every kid can get their hands on it, you know? And that's the part about coaching your kids immediately after every rep. If you can't give them immediate feedback, maybe we need to think about something that can allow us to give them quicker feedback on how they are performing. I say practice in game-like conditions. So right here, I mean, you can see our NS athletes in action. It doesn't matter. Everybody's game-like conditions looks different. You know, a Friday night football game looks different than even a sub-varsity football game or a freshman football game. Cheerleaders, their game time conditions look different than the football players do. The band, it doesn't matter. So many of our kids are asked to perform. How do we get them perform in game-like conditions? So one of the things we used to do at practice is bring the sound system out there. If it's going to be a loud stadium, our kids need to practice with distractions, don't they? Hey, are we using, what type of environment are we using? If it's going to be cold, should we go inside in the heat or should we practice outside in the cold? Right? Think about all these things. And then, should we use technology or pen and paper? You know? And it depends what you're practicing for. If you're practicing for a STAR exam, we'll just use that nice little example. What should it look like? Should students be in small groups working at lab tables? Why not? What's the STAR exam look like? 2 chairs at this table, maybe their own small individual desk, you know? Should it be noisy? Dead quiet. Should you possibly, before that assessment that we're practicing for a STAR, get up and read STAR instructions to them? Think about that. You need to recreate that game day environment. Man, I'm not telling you to practice STAR kids to death. I promise you. That's not what I'm telling you. But do not let the STAR test be the first day they're ever exposed to that environment. Make sure they know what to expect in game-like conditions so that the band playing, the cheerleaders going, the crowd roaring doesn't get them caught deer in headlights and they forget content which we're there to actually look at. Make all that just seem like it's white noise or they don't even notice any of that and they can focus on who their opponent is, and their opponent is all those objectives that we have taught them up to that point. So kind of create those game-like conditions every day for them. You can have practice conditions, but you also need to have game-like conditions.
All right. I just told you that we have a weekly routine, and the kids know every single thing that's going to come on Monday. They know what we're going to do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all the way up into Friday. They know what's going to happen. But within that, there can be a little bit of monotony, especially whenever you're in week 7 of the season and you've been doing the same thing, the same drills over and over and over. The kids are kind of bored and it's a grind. And so you've got to do things within your practice to liven things up a little bit. All right. If you're juiceful, you're useful. I think I got that from, was that you, Coach Clark? And I love that. Bringing the juice means bringing a little bit of the energy, because if you're not excited about what you're going to be doing that day, you cannot expect the players to be excited about what you're going to be doing that day. So if you can bring a little bit of juice, all right, then you're really useful. And players that do that are great, all right? Players that bring the juice that may never step foot on the field, that may not really be big contributors in terms of starting, man, they're still really useful because they set the morale for the whole practice and the rest of the team. All right. Good coaches, one of the ways that they do that is they create competition within their drills. They create competition within their practice to liven things up a little bit, number one, but number two, to put a kid in a situation that he's going to find himself on Friday night. All right, we don't want the first time that the ball's on the 10 and they got 3 downs to put it in the end zone to be the first time that they were in that situation. All right, we need to recreate those type of situations whenever we can in practice. And so competition makes activities more fun, and it allows players to practice being in those uncomfortable situations. And so there's a lot of different ways that we do that as coaches. I might, before we do a drill, it's going to be one guy versus one guy. We might have a draft right before the drill. I'll get 2 captains. Hey, pick somebody. Okay, now you pick somebody. And we'll get them into 2 teams. And now we're doing the drill, and whoever has the most losses at the end, you got consequences. You're going to be doing up downs. You're going to be doing push-ups. And the other group, you're going to get a water break, all right, or something to have a clear winner and a clear loser, right? And so that we create some competition. We'll do one-on-ones. We'll do a thing called a playmaker drill. All these different things to create competition and get the kids hyped up, get the kids hooping and hollering so they're excited about something that if we just did it, it'd be pretty monotonous. I coach receivers, and it's weird. They only want to catch touchdowns. It's like they never want to do like the boring stuff, like block. Isn't that crazy? All right, they just want to do the pretty boy stuff. They don't want to do any of the stuff that makes you have to grind a little bit. And so the thing that I create competition in and try to hype up the most is our blocking drills, the thing they hate doing the most. All right. If I can turn that thing that they hate doing the most into something fun that they look forward to in practice, maybe we'll get better at it. All right. And so real quick, we just huddled up earlier. What are some ways? All right. This is our last huddle, and then we're almost done. But real quick, in your little stations, I want you to think of ways that you could create competition in your classroom. What are some things that you, and no one say Kahoot, because we all know about Kahoot and
Quizlet.
And Quizlet. That's overplayed. We know about Kahoot, and it is a good thing. But what are some other ways? All right, like I said, I'm trying to steal from you. I want some ideas so that I can use it in my class. But what are some ways that you can create competition in your classroom? You got 2 minutes. Ready, set, go. Walk through pregame ritual. Don't be afraid to make adjustments. Those 3. That's it. We're supposed to go till 11.
11:15. I'll tell you what, if it's like 10 till.
Do what? Oh, yeah.
And it does that. I think mine is 7.
More worried about static.
Hit
him with the ball. If you can't dodge a wrench, you can't dodge a ball. That's all I know.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Time's up. Oh, I should have blown my whistle. As loud as I can. Who's got something they want to shout? I don't want to go through every single group. It'll take too long. But who's got something that they heard?
Let's make it competitive. Cool. Who's got the best one?
Or did he does? No.
What do y'all got?
So there are teachers. I'm geometry. We have a lot of products that go up to the hallway. Students pick up on the fact that only the better products make it to the hallway for display. So that can be pretty much a competition without being announced that it's a competition.
Yeah. What if you made it into a freaking competition and you said, all right, everybody go vote on their favorite. All right, but do like period 1 has to vote on period 2 stuff. And period, yeah, that'd be cool.
Second one's always
Change the groups.
What else?
We compared it to what we talked about is in high school before, especially if you have a kid who's a 504, especially who know, I mean, especially in high school, they know what a 70 is. They know they fail, right? They're not confident in knowing the material. So pair them up with somebody who does. And like, hey, everybody who made a 70 or below, hey, you paired up with someone who made 85 and below. It's kind of like we do half line. You don't have to tell that lineman he missed a block. He knows he missed it. But now you pair up with somebody and it's like, hey, you two are going to work on the combo block together. So you can do a quick competition, like, hey, everybody who made this grade, you're going to pair, and then you get them up and around the room because they're going to start picking up where they always do. But anyway, the guys do a pair, right?
Prettier than they are, too.
Yeah. So they're going to pair up real quick and do what we call a half line and fix their mistakes without having the whole, a little competition, but without having to recreate the whole atmosphere all over again. So it's just quick automatic feedback. Me and you, I'm going to help you fix this mistake, and we're going to get better on this.
That's awesome. Like I told you, I lean heavy towards U.S. history because that's what I teach. But there's two other teachers that do U.S. history. It's Coach Morrow and Jeremy Simmons. But we all take the same unit test at the end of the unit, and we all do it around the same day, and we all get our scores back. And I'm really, really competitive. And so if you're telling me I'm getting a score, he's getting a score, and he's getting a score, I want mine to be better, And so one thing I tell my class is that we're competing with Coach Morrow, and we're competing with Mr. Simmons, and we're going to have better scores than they are because I'm a better teacher than they are. All right, whether that's true or not, I'm gonna tell them that.
That on film, guys.
I'm trying to create the competition between us and other classes. It's us versus them. So I show them the results after every unit test. Hey, here's what we did. Here's what Coach Morrow and Coach Simmons' class did. Beat them again, And I've done it to where we have a trophy too. And the teachers that wins that unit, they get to hold on to the trophy. I held on to it like all year. All right. I don't even know if Coach Morrow and Mr. Simmons knew about the competition. They didn't even know we were competing. But by God, I'm the winner. And so doing little things like that to create competition. I love playing games as reviews. And Kahoot is fine, but there's not the same level of competition, I think, when you're sitting down and just playing on your phone. So we'll do things, password. When we play password, the kids almost fight every single time because they're all cheating and they're catching each other cheating. And I'm encouraging the fight a little bit. But whoop him! All right. Password? Password's really easy. So I get two teams on one side, either side of the room, and I get two desks, and they're facing the teams. On the back of the board, I'm going to write a vocabulary word, some kind of term. I'm going to write it down. The password is, and then I write it. And so team one, they're going to go first. You give a one-word clue. It can't rhyme, and it can't be a root word of the word. So if the password is football.
The game show.
Yeah. If the password is football, the clue can't be foot, can't be ball, and it can't rhyme with it. It can't be schmutball. Anyway, so they give a clue, and it's a little bit different because every kid needs an opportunity to give a clue. So it's a little bit different than regular password. So I'm going to say right here, what's your one-word clue for Coach Moy? They give a clue, and then this person tries to guess, they get it wrong. Okay, what's your one-word clue? They give a clue, they guess, get it wrong. I'm going to you. What's your one-word clue? All right, and we're doing that back and forth. And it almost always ends up in a fist fight, and it's awesome. All right, I encourage the fist.
So creating competition, though, remember this one thing about competition: no competition is equal. Hey, you line up on Friday night. Some teams are just more talented than other teams, right? How are you going to compete when it's uneven? Teach kids that. That's a lesson in life, right? Not everything's going to be equal in life. I can't create everything equal for you in life. How are you going to compete? That's a lesson on top of a lesson right there within the content. Have a walkthrough before the game, Pretty easy. It's called reviewing your students before you assess them. And it's basically just hitting on the key points. On a Friday night, you're going to have a walkthrough before we go out there. And we're just going to hit on the key points. We may put the team out there, rerun some stuff that we thought we needed to polish up one more time. Remind our athletes of key points. Remember this week, this is how we had to adjust this and execute this here or there. Remind them of the major things that they're going to need to do in order to be successful in the assessment. And everybody's like, well, you're giving them answers. They still have to do it on the assessment. What I want is, how successful can they be? I'm not telling them the answer to number 2 is B. I'm not telling them specific facts. I'm reminding them of those key process and terms and things that we kind of went through throughout the week and why they're important to what we're about to do. I say have a pregame ritual. This is the coolest thing ever, and it took me a while to really connect these two things, but this is probably the first thing I ever did that I ever brought the coaching field into my classroom intentionally. I probably did some things unintentionally, but intentionally, this is the first thing that I ever did was I watched football players every Friday night have their pregame rituals and get hyped up, and I didn't have to do it. They were ready to go do whatever they had to do to win a football game on their own. All they need to do is develop some pregame rituals. So I developed pregame rituals in my classroom. And it might be music for this one class, whatever kind of gets them as a group going, knowing, hey, this is what we're about to do, you know? Get them excited about those things. And so people never really see a lot of the pregame rituals that athletes have, but they have all types of things, you know? They're superstitious. Our kids can get superstitious. Hey, embrace that. Don't fight it, you know? And I think too many times we're sitting there trying to fight kids. Let them have their pregame moments. So let's see, I put together a quick little video, a complication of pregame moments. This one's kind of long. It can be as simple as having a chant for them before the game ever even starts, you know? Let's have a chant that we do before we take tests. The cool thing about these, they're all student-led. You don't see the coach doing it. These guys really start to get into it. I said, they're going to start flickering the lights here in a second. Think about that environment. Rhythms. Kids love rhythm. Watch them. They can all do it. They all have some form of rhythm. Some of them struggle more than others. I want to come watch it. That's all I'm going to say. You should stop it and dance it. So, as we sit there and think about pregame rituals, why don't we have something we do with our students before we're about to take an assessment? You know, how much more in the frame of mind? Think about this. Our kids are getting going. They're now getting their juice, aren't they? Talk about bringing the juice. They're going to bring it right then and there. Will they drudge taking assessments from that point on? No. Think about this. Will that change their complete attitude of what they're about to do? And it doesn't have to be as long as that or whatever. It can be something short and easy, a chant, a quick little rhythm, hand rhythms that we do, whatever it is. Change their mindset before they start. Because what if those athletes didn't have that pregame ritual and they just went out there and snapped the ball? They're not ready to play, are they? Think about this. They have to get ready to play their way. Get your kids to do the same thing before we test them in the classroom. Get them in that mental mindset to be ready to play.
And this is the last thing, and to me, it's the most important thing. Whenever players leave our program as football players, I hope they know more than just football. If all they know is football after being in our program, then we failed as coaches. We've got to, as coaches, spend some kind of time, and we do every Wednesday and a little bit on Thursday as well, spend time talking to those people about how to be better human beings, how to be better men, how to be better fathers, how to be better husbands, how to be just better employees and citizens of America. And so we've got to intentionally spend that time. It's not just going to happen organically. And you need to do that as a teacher as well. You need to find some kind of time where you're not teaching history, you're not teaching math, you're not teaching science, but you're talking about character and being a better person. God has placed every single kid in your classroom for a reason. And that's the good kids and the bad kids. That's the ones you like and the ones you don't like. Every single kid is in there for a reason. And you need to figure out what that purpose is. And you need to make sure that you're doing everything you can to fulfill God's purpose for that kid to be in your classroom. And so I encourage you to do what Coach, I'll say Coach, Mr. Bishop asked us to do at the beginning of the year. Even if it's just one kid, find that kid that has 0 friends and find something cool about him, all right? And like him and make a difference in his life, I'm trying to say. Because if they leave your class and all they know is math, you're not a very good teacher. Get out of the profession. So, anyway, that's all I've got, but we sure appreciate you guys being in here. We know that coaches are the best teachers. The best coaches are the best teachers. And every single one in here, you're going to teach in some capacity and hopefully influence the lives of young people in some capacity. So we're here for you. Thank you. We're praying for you.
I'm going to leave you guys with this. Don't be scared to stop and make an adjustment. Coach William, how many adjustments have you made in the middle of the game that are completely different from what you practiced all week? Why did you make the adjustment? To be successful. If you sit there and watch your kids taking an assessment and they're all bombing it, why would you let them finish that, grade it, and give it back to them? Why would you want to do that to somebody? Because that just makes you want to punish them. That's all you're doing. And what type of reputation are you developing? You're the punisher. Don't be scared to say, hey, we're not looking good on this. Let's stop, let's make an adjustment, and let's come back to it. Don't ever be scared to do that, you know? There's no golden Bible. There's no written rules of that you cannot do that, is there? Has anybody ever told you you can't do it? Well, do these things until somebody tells you you can, you know? Make it about the kids. Make it about the success of the kids and engaging the kids. Because as you watch that, all of those kids were engaged in videos and hearing their work. Let's engage our kids in a classroom and bring a real approach. So I hope you guys can kind of take some tips here and there, maybe change a little bit of the classroom attitude, you know, and let's bring some success to our students in this EISD. So I thank you guys very much.